I call this meeting to order. Is this? Sorry. Script. That was helpful. Let's see. The April 30th, 2026 regular session of the Plantation Board of Directors will now come to order. The time is 6 o'clock. Mr. Secretary, please confirm we have a quorum.
Madam President, a quorum is present.
Excellent. At this time, Director Woodson is going to deliver the invocation.
Before we begin, let us pause for a moment of reflection. We are here because we care about this community and the people who live in it. May we approach our work with clarity, humility, and a commitment to fairness. May we listen fully, speak respectfully, and remain mindful of the trust our neighbors place in us. We come from different backgrounds and hold different beliefs. Some of us find strength in faith, some in reason, some in tradition, and some in the freedom to question. These differing experiences and perspectives make Plantation stronger and more welcoming. May we honor that diversity not with suspicion or fear, but with respect, curiosity, and a willingness to understand perspectives other than our own. And may we remember that we gather not just as property owners, but as neighbors who share a community that is truly special. Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, if you will rise with me, if you can, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before I make the presidential comments, with our new general manager starting tomorrow and our outgoing general manager meeting, we need to update our signing authority on the First National Bank accounts. I move to amend that the new business portion of the agenda to add an item relating to signing authority.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor of adding that agenda item, raise your hand. Passed 7 to 2. What that looks like. Motion is carried. For my comments, if you haven't already seen the e-blasts, the Board of Directors is extremely pleased to announce that after an extensive search and interview process, we, the Board of Directors, have hired a new general manager for the Plantation Owners Association. We will welcome Christy Nicole into her new position as general manager tomorrow, May 1st, 2026. Because she has served as our controller for the past 6 years and worked closely with our current general manager and brings extensive knowledge of this community, we are confident that she is our best choice for general manager. Rick Blanchard will remain as in his current position as the outgoing general manager until May 15th, in order to provide Christy with time for orientation and preparation for her new role. On May 16th, Rick will transition into his new role as construction manager for the new golf course. Please join us in welcoming and congratulating Christy in her new position as general manager for the Plantation. Second item is to improve communication from the Board of Directors and the management to Pecan Plantation members. We plan on forming a communications committee. That name will be subject to change later, but it's going to be about communications. Creating the committee requires a DCR, which is now being drafted. The committee's purpose will include, but not limited to, serve as a liaison among the board, management, and the membership, and including responding to questions and current issues and events. Second is to recommend when that information should be distributed. Third is to clarify what information may or may not be shared per our governing documents using PPOA's current communication channels. And four, identify and implementing additional and more effective ways to communicate with the membership. Once the DCR is submitted and passed, we will be asking members who are interested in joining this committee to sign up. And lastly, there has been discussion and questions regarding the EB5 developments in Pecan Plantation. As usual, there's a lot of misinformation circulating on social media. We would like to address that. I would like to recognize Director Charles Horton to provide some factual information.
Okay, I don't know what your real questions are, but I'm going to read you some stuff, and then we'll take questions. EB5 housing usually refers to housing or real estate projects that are financed with EB5 investor money. EB5 program lets foreign investors put money into U.S. job-creating projects in exchange for a path to permanent residency. The developers often use that capital for multifamily or apartment developments. In practice, EB5 housing is not a special kind of housing. It usually means housing developed such as apartments or mixed-use residential projects that raise part of its funding through EB5 investors. We have an EB5 development downtown. It's called Lakeview Landings. It is using the same basic framework as Boynton Beach multifamily development in Florida. Lakeview Landing specifically is a 289-unit multifamily rental apartment community in Granbury, Texas, and it is presented as a rural EB5 project with similar structure and prior multifamily projects. EB5 development in brief. EB5 development refers to using immigrant investor capital to finance a project that can qualify foreign investors for U.S. permanent residency, typically through a new commercial enterprise and job-creating business plan. Those are the two bases for this. The core legal framework comes from the Immigration and Nationality Act and implementing regulations in 8 Code of Federal Regulations 204.6 and 8 Code of Federal Regulations 216.6, with the Reform Integrity Act on top of it, which modified that in 2022, adding changes such as setbacks, set-aside visas, and concurrent filing. The core legal requirements for an EB5 project generally must involve a lawful new commercial enterprise, a qualifying capital investment, management participation by the investor, lawful source of funds, documentation, and creation of at least 10 full-time jobs per investor. The United States Immigration Service also expects a credible business plan that clearly explains how the funds will be used and how job creation will occur. The EB5 projects are basically invisible to us as citizens. There is an EB5. EB5 money has been used to purchase lots here in Pecan Plantation. Those houses, the houses that are going to be built on those lots, have to go through our Architectural Control Committee, so they will look just like every other residence in Pecan Plantation. There is no difference. They have the same all of the same requirements that every other house in Pecan Plantation has. And if you notice, what I said was that the foreign investment only gives that investor basically a shortcut to permanent residency. That's not citizenship, it's permanent residency, but it's only the investor. For the EB5 project in Pecan Plantation, every investor must invest $800,000. So those are the base requirements. Are there any questions? Go ahead.
Mr. Ward? Yeah, one question I do. So the investor himself has a pathway to permanent residency. But can they sell those homes? Or do they have to be rental projects?
No, they sell the home.
Okay.
Your builder's going to sell the homes.
Yeah.
That's what.
Part of the project.
Yeah, what he's trying to get to is the EB5 people that are investing money are simply investors. But they're investing that money so that they have a path to permanent residency.
I understood.
But the builder's going to sell those homes.
In all this, where do these permanent jobs appear? Is this the construction jobs or where?
He's talking about the permanent jobs that are being created.
Permanent jobs, that's part of what they present before they can begin the development. The permanent jobs would be, it would have to be a long-term project, and probably they're not just building houses here. They'll have a project manager, they'll have electricians and so forth. It's also to keep people employed. The reason that it could be easily located here, and the other project was easily located here, is because we, according to the Census Bureau, are heavily unemployed. So we're a targeted employment area. They call it a T area.
Okay. Most construction jobs are job specific, meaning building this house and this contract. So how does that turn into a 10-person or however many is required to be permanent jobs?
Well, my guess is that what they look at, and this is, the plans have to go through the Immigration Service. And my guess is that what they look at is keeping people employed, keeping the trades employed, keeping people at the lumberyard employed, keeping people at the concrete company employed, keeping people at the plumbing supply place employed, and that will go on for the entire period of the project.
Okay. Thank you very much, Charles. So now we would normally open up for members' comments on agenda items. Nobody signed up for that, correct? So we're going to skip to approval of the minutes, and I will now recognize Secretary Nancy.
Thank you, Madam President. The minutes of the March 26, 2026 regular session have been distributed. Are there any corrections?
I would like to have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 26th regular session.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving? Raise your hand. All opposed? Pass 7-0.
Next on the agenda is minutes of the executive session held on March 26, 2026. I will read a summary of the minutes. President Urbano called the executive session to order at 7:35 p.m. All directors were present and the quorum was confirmed. The General Manager, Rick Manchin, was present. The GM reported on the status of discussions with the developer regarding the executive golf course, turnover of platted lands, water drainage, and removal of dead trees. The GM also reported on recent activity of the Appeals Committee and on a matter involving a foreclosure and a subpoena for documents. The general manager left the meeting at 8:26 p.m. There was consideration of an offer to a general manager candidate. Following the motion and second, the board voted 9 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 abstaining to make an offer to the general manager candidate. There was consideration of the employment agreement and potential start date for the general manager candidate. Following the motion and second, the board voted 9 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 abstaining to approve the form of general manager employment agreement provided by outside counsel as revised with the start date of May 1st, 2026. There was consideration of extending the term of the current general manager through May 15, 2026 to assist with a smooth transition. Following the motion and second, the board voted 9 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 abstaining to send an email to the current general manager confirming his retention through May 15, 2026. President Urbano adjourned the meeting at 9:10 p.m. Are there any corrections?
I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 26th executive session.
I so move.
I'll second.
With a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor of approving these minutes, raise your hand. All opposed? 7-0.
Thank you, Madam President. The minutes of the April 10, 2026 special session have been distributed. Are there any corrections?
Would like to have a motion to approve the minutes of April 10th special session.
I move to approve those minutes. Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving those minutes, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. 7-0.
Next on the agenda is the minutes of the executive session held on April 10, 2026. I'll read some of the minutes. President Urbano called the meeting to order at 4:21 p.m. All directors were present except Mark Massey. There were no guests. A quorum was present. Following a motion and second, the board voted 8 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 abstaining to approve the revisions to and authorize execution of the revised GM candidate employment agreement. The board considered payment of the unpaid portion of the GM's discretionary bonus based on the GM's achievement of agreed-upon milestones. Following motion and second, the board voted 8 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 abstaining to approve payment of the unpaid portion of the GM's discretionary bonus. President Urbano adjourned the executive session of the meeting at 5:11 p.m. Are there any corrections?
I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of April 10th executive session. There's a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving those minutes, raise your hand. All opposed? 7-0. Alrighty, next we have our last controller's report from Christie.
Well, thank you, Madam President. Tonight I'll be presenting the March financial results. However, before I begin, I'd like to announce that Deanne Green, who's sitting next to me, she'll be our new controller. So she'll be taking over those duties tomorrow and will be gracing us with her presence at the future board meetings. So we're glad to have Deanne. Okay, moving on to the financials. The cash investments and fund balances as of March 31st, 2026, we had $6.3 million in checking and money market accounts, and we had $3.2 million in investments for a total of $9.6 million. And then down below to the right is a breakout of the total cash and investment balance by fund. You can see in the general operating fund, we had $1.8 million, and in the restricted funds, we had $2.7 in the capital reserve fund, 2.1 in the new capital fund, and almost $3 million in the road and drainage fund. And then over to the left is our net cash calculation of $9.5 million. This next slide is a 6-month comparison of the previous slide. You can see that as of October 2025, we had about $8.6 million in checking and money market accounts and investments. And in March, we had almost $9.6 million. And our net cash calculation went from $8.4 million to $9.5 million. The increase of approximately $1 million in cash and investments is mainly due to the accumulation of funds and the road and reserve replacement funds for upcoming projects. Statement. In March, we had total revenue for the month of $1,013,555, which was $10,000 under expectations. This variance was mainly due to less than expected building permit fees. Food and beverage sales came in a little under expectations, but were offset by higher than expected pro shop revenue. Year-to-date revenue is trending $5,000 better than budget due to higher than expected pro shop merchandise sales and fees. Year-to-date food and beverage revenue is coming in under expectations, which is offsetting the positive variance in other departments. However, we are trending $155,000 better in revenue compared to last year at this time. Our total costs for the month of March were $940,517. This includes cost of goods sold, payroll, healthcare, and other operating expense. March costs came in better than budget by $22,000. This positive variance was mostly due to the delay of golf course pest management treatment and facilities maintenance repairs. Year-to-date, the total operating cost is $170,000 better than budget. This is mainly due to overall labor savings and timing of maintenance and repairs. So overall, we ended the month of March with net operating income before depreciation of $73,038, which was $12,000 better than budget. And year-to-date net operating income before depreciation was $209,000, which exceeded budget by $175,000. Okay, moving on to the reserve funds. The reserve and replacement capital fund ended the month with a balance of almost $2.7 million, and we're projecting it to be about $2.8 million at year end. And then down below is a detail of what has been spent out of this fund so far this fiscal year, which is $136,608. And then the new capital fund had an ending balance of almost $2.1 million, and is projected to be approximately $2.2 million at year end. And then down below you can see that we spent $118,704 out of this fund so far this fiscal year on new capital projects. And you can see that so far we have spent $108,000 on the executive golf course so far, which is all for design work. Okay, and in the road and drainage fund, we ended the month with almost $3 million. It's projected to be a little bit over $500,000 at year end. And so far, we have spent $392,181 out of this fund this fiscal year. Just an additional update on how the capital funds are trending to date versus what we had projected in the executive golf course presentation and membership. The reserve and replacement fund is trending approximately $256,000 better than we expected, and the new capital fund is approximately $3,000 better than expected at this time. Okay, the accounts receivable balance as of March 31st, 2026, the AR balance was $1,221,000, of which $239,000 was delinquent. And as of March 31st, 2026, our current membership count was 3,749. And then just to give you a brief update on developer lot closings, in March we had 6 developer lots closed, so that added 6 new assessments from new development, and all of those were new members, so we added $26,286 in new capital initiation fees. And year to date, we've had 45 developer lots closed, but only 36 new assessments due to waiver builders and replats. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Christie. And thank you for your service as our controller. You've been awesome.
Well, thank you.
On to unfinished business. We need to ratify an electronic vote to repair the pack pool for a week. Mr. Secretary, please present the item.
Madam President, on March 28, 2026, the board unanimously consented to an electronic vote related to the approval of an expenditure of $10,000 for repair of the pack pool leak on March 28, 2026 by a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed, and 2 abstaining. The board by electronic vote approved the expenditure of $10,000 for the repair of the packed pool leak.
Excellent. Can I have a motion to ratify that electronic vote for approving this expenditure of $10,000 for the packed pool leak?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of ratifying this vote, raise your hand. 7-0. Let's see. Okay, on to new business. Now we need to approve committee members for the 2026 and 27 year. We will vote on all of these items as a group. For the airport committee, Charles Horton will be the board rep. And you can see the airport committee up there. For the appeals committee, the board rep will be Paul Knudsen. For the architectural control committee, I'm sorry. For the airport committee, the chairman is Charles Adam. For appeals, the chairperson is Tammy Pearson. For the architectural control committee, the chairman is Paul Cornell. The board rep is Charles Horton. The entertainment committee, the new chair is Leslie St. Germain, and her board rep will be Christy Nickel. I'm sorry, her board rep will be Jacqueline Davenport. Christy's not on the board. Finance committee, Wilson is the chairman, and Pam Coleman will be her board representative. For the golf committee, Winston Bourne will be the chairperson. Dee Dee Urbano, yours truly, will be the board rep. Infrastructure committee, Sam Watts is the chairperson. Mike Hill will be the board representative. Linmo committee, these will be posted, by the way, so if you're not reading quick enough. Linmo committee, Mike Hill will be the chairman, and Bob Tabor, Mike Hill will be the chairman, and we don't have a board rep, is that correct? The long range planning committee, John Milburn will be the chairman, Sam Butler will be the board rep, and Charles Horton will also be the board rep. We've got 2. The Marina Committee, Jennifer Lancaster will be the chairman. The board reps, there will be 2, Chris Fair and Pam Coleman. Safety and Security Committee, John Cross will be the chairman. Mark Massey will be the board representative. Sports and Rec Committee, Abel Ochoa Jr., who is here tonight, thank you very much, will be the chairman. And Mark Massey will be the board representative. And Wildlife Committee, Mike Kustek will be the chairman, and Jacqueline Davenport will be the board representative. Do I have a motion to approve these committees?
Madam President, I move to approve all the committees as listed.
Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving these committees, raise your hand. 0. We also need to approve the appointment of Randy Larson as an additional bylaws committee member. Do I have a motion to approve Randy Larson into the bylaws committee?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of approving Randy Larson to be an additional bylaws committee member, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Any sustained? Let's see. We also need to approve the appointment of Pam Coleman as the board chairperson to the audit committee. Do I have a motion to approve Ms. Coleman as the bylaws committee chair?
So moved.
Audit committee chair.
I'm sorry, audit committee.
So moved.
Second. All in favor of Pam Coleman for the audit committee? 7-0. Okay, with our new general manager starting tomorrow, we need to update our signing authority. This is what I was talking about the very first part of this meeting. We need to update our signing authority with the First National Bank. Do I have a motion to amend the signing authority at First National Bank to remove Rick Blanchard as the outgoing general manager and to add Christy Nickel, our new general manager, as the authorized signer on all of the First National Bank accounts effective May 1st, 2026?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? All in favor? 7-0. Okay, now we have member comments, not on the agenda items. The first one is Terry Keck. Go ahead and go up to the podium, you've got a microphone. And this is regarding a speed bump and Highway 161.
First one's kind of minor, but the speed bump at the front gate is more like a curb. And the one at the back gate is reasonable, but I have a bad back, and every time I go across that, it's excruciating. And every time I go across my car, sometimes it giant, so I think it's reasonable to replace that. I don't know how much it would cost, but that's minor. My next is with a large population of Pecan and De Cordova and all the subdivisions along 161, I think it's reasonable. We have some political pull, and we ought to be able to do something about that goat trail that we have coming to the front gate. You're lucky if you average 40 miles an hour. And I know there's a lot of towns much smaller than ours that have very nice straight highways with passing lanes. And I just think that we ought to be able to do something to pressure our state representatives to do something about that highway. It's just a disgrace. That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Peck. Our next speaker is Trey Nelson regarding the pool fence. Pool fence.
My name is Troy Nelson.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. My wife and I are new to Pecan. We are currently renting a house as we finish building a house. We have several sons and now many grandchildren, all under the age of 6. And we are looking forward to many years watching them grow up here in Texas. We are almost finished building the house, and this includes having a pool built in the backyard. We were not aware that you're only allowed to have a maximum of 4 feet for a fence. This includes an interior yard pool fence, not just a perimeter fence. I am a retired pediatric hospitalist, intensivist, and have been involved in much intensive care in Phoenix, Arizona for 38 years, where almost daily we saw children brought in as drowning victims during the summer months. So this is an issue that is near, but not dear to my heart. We have asked for a variance to place a 6-foot fence around the perimeter of the pool. With the way our backyard and patio is laid out, the fence would hardly be noticeable. A fence is for security and safety. A 4-foot fence can easily be climbed over by a young child by placing a patio chair or other item next to the fence. This is a common scenario in a drowning event. I have pursued this issue with the Pecan powers that be in trying to find out a reason why this restriction is set in stone. The response is we follow the statute of Texas regulations and that therefore absolves us of liability. In my further investigation, I've discovered that recommendation that Texas is giving is decades old. It is not a law, it is not a statute, it is a recommendation, a minimum standard. Cities like Dallas and Waco have now changed their requirements to 6 feet height for pool fencing. I hope other cities follow. As more houses are being built and more pools are put in, along with the likelihood of younger families with children moving in, there will be more risk of tragedies occurring. You do have liability as an association that mandates security and safety in the community. If I look over the side of the building here, I see a pool with a large fence and gates around it. They are more than 6 feet in height, actually. Why is this fence and the other community pool not 4 feet? We all know the answer. If aesthetics of a higher pool fence is a concern, then why would I be allowed as a homeowner to build a huge structure that completely covers the pool and can be as high as our roof? Beyond the liability and legality issues concerning this issue and other safety issues, we need to be responsible and do the right thing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Okay, there being no further business, this regular session is adjourned. Time is